Hey everybody, welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm here with the miserable liberal and hilarious comedian, Dave Reinitz. Hi, how are you?
Hello, Jimmy.
Rob Placota's here. You can hear him, you can't see him.
Howdy, howdy.
I want to reiterate, I know I played this one video on the show before, but we've got more information to go with it. Just keep in mind as you watch the news reports and read in the newspaper, the establishment papers, which are all lying to you about what's going on in the Middle East. They always have been. They always beat the drum for war. They're doing it again. Let's remember, this is from CNN from 2005. Listen to this.
You know, the rhetoric of regime change is headed towards you from the United States. They are actively looking for a new Syrian leader. They're granting visas and visits to Syrian opposition politicians. They're talking about isolating you diplomatically and perhaps a coup d'etat or your regime crumbling. What are you thinking about that?
What the hell do you think he's thinking? Oh, fantastic. So this isn't new. They've been trying to do this for a while. They want to put a pipeline through Syria. They've been wanting to overthrow him. They keep making up stuff. Just like Saddam. Oh, my God, Saddam has got weapons of mass destruction. He gasses his own people. How do you know? We gave him the gas. And, stuff like that. So we don't care about gassing people. We don't care about killing kids. We do it all the time. So just so you know, right? So people don't, it's weird to talk to people. People don't know that we're training ISIS and al-Nusra in Syria. People don't know that the CIA was doing, people don't know any of this. So people don't know that if we're trying to overthrow Assad, that means we're fighting with ISIS and al-Qaeda. People don't know this. It's what? So there's all these facts that never get reported in the mainstream news media. That's one of them. Here's another one. WikiLeaks tweeted this out today. It said Hillary Clinton, there's a brief on Syria from Clinton emails. And the date is 2012 on this. This is from the WikiLeaks document. You want to hear? So the best way to help Israel deal with Iran's growing nuclear capability is to help the people of Syria overthrow the regime of Bashar Assad. That's right. So this isn't a new idea. And so whatever they tell you, it's because they gassed. They've been wanting to overthrow Assad for a long, long time. We reported it here, what Robert Kennedy Jr. reported in Echo Watch. That's how I found out about the natural gas pipeline that they want to put through Syria to bring natural gas to Europe. And that's why Russia doesn't want that to happen, because Russia sells all the fossil fuels to Europe. They don't need the competition from Saudi Arabia and Qatar. And we have promised Saudi Arabia that they can use our military anywhere they want because of the petrodollar. So there's a little bit more to that from WikiLeaks. It says what Israel military leaders really worry about but cannot talk about is losing their nuclear monopoly. So there you go. So there's another reason for the toppling of Assad. That's another reason. And that's from the Clinton emails. Oh, what did the Russians did that? Did the Russians write that? Or did they? Here is, so let's, and I want to remind everybody that the last time they tried this, German newspaper found out intercepts, Assad didn't do it. So we already reported that Assad didn't do it the last time they said Assad did this in 2013. That's when Barack Obama, he said, you crossed the red line. You remember, they said the red line has been crossed. So it says The Guardian, Assad did not order Syrian chemical weapons attacks, says German press. This is from 2013. President Bashar al-Assad did not personally order last month's chemical weapons attack near Damascus that triggered calls for U.S. military intervention and blocked numerous requests from his military command. He blocked numerous requests from his military commanders to use chemical weapons against regime opponents in recent months, a German newspaper has reported, citing unidentified high-level national security forces. So his generals were requesting him to do it, and he wouldn't. And how do they know this? The intelligence findings were based on phone calls intercepted by a German surveillance ship operated by the BND, the German intelligence service, and deployed off the Syrian coast. So that's the last one. And now Assad is actually winning the war. They're taking back over. Everything's going great for the Assad regime in Syria in a sense that they're taking back over their country. They're winning this quote-unquote civil war, which is mostly outside actors funded by Saudi Arabia. So Why would he use gas now? Doesn't make any sense at all. So boom. Now let's remember this. This is John Kerry. I also got in a conversation with another guy who didn't realize that what's going on with Saudi Arabia and the United States, that what we have pledged that they could use our military. Why do we sell them cluster bombs and let them go drop cluster bombs on fishing villages in Yemen? Why do we back Saudi Arabia? Why do we do this everywhere they want us to do it? Well, John Kerry reveals Arab countries have offered to pay America to carry out full-scale invasions of Iraq. This is from September 4th, 2013. I bet the Daily Mail's lying about that, though. I bet John Kerry wouldn't say that, except, oh, shit, I have a video of him saying that. Let's listen.
To respect to Arab countries offering to bear cost and to assist, the answer is profoundly yes, they have. That offer is on the table. With respect to boots on the ground, profoundly no. There will be no boots on the ground. The President has said that again and again, and there is nothing in this authorization that should contemplate it. We reiterate, no boots on the ground. In terms of what do you do if it doesn't work, I think I'll let General Dempsey speak to the question of targeting, which he can't go into in detail. But we have absolute confidence that what our military undertakes to do, if it is ordered to do so, will degrade the capacity of Assad to use these weapons and serve as a very strong deterrence. And if it doesn't, then there are subsequent possibilities as to how you could reinforce that.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And the details on the offer and the proposal on the table, what are the figures that we're talking about?
Well, we don't know what action we're engaged in right now, but they've been quite significant. I mean, very significant. In fact, some of them have said that if the United States is prepared to go do the whole thing the way we've done it previously in other places, they'll carry that cost. That's how dedicated they are to this.
And I bet they're playing this on a loop at CNN and MSNBC, right? They can't get enough of this? That we've already been given they're going to pay for it? They want us? They're going to finance the whole thing if we topple Syria. They'll finance the whole thing.
If they're playing it on a loop, it's only because they're cheering for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, that's not in the cards, and nobody's talking about it.
Yeah. So people don't understand our relationship with Saudi Arabia and why we're setting the fucking Mideast on fire, and our relationship with Israel and all that shit, and why we still manufacture cluster bombs in the United States. We care so much about people and human beings, we manufacture nice Christian cluster bombs. Who we all know that cluster bombs killed 90% civilians. And where do we drop them? They're dropping them in Yemen on fishing villages. Killing dads, moms, grandmas, kids. We're killing kids all the time. We don't give a shit. And you're gullible, and don't be a dupe. Don't listen to the government. Don't listen to MSNBC and CNN. They are beating the drum for war. They are manufacturing consent right now as we speak. And that's why I think it's really, I know this might sound, this probably sounds crazy. Somebody said to me today, hey, do you think there's a connection between them defunding the news shows on YouTube and right on the eve of a World War III? No, you're crazy. You're crazy. Why? Because the only place you get fucking anti-Wall Street and the truth about war and the military-industrial complex has to be places like this? Because you ain't going to get it from MSNBC. Those sons of bitches. You heard Brian Williams literally have an orgasm on air when he was watching the missiles take off. I say literally. Jimmy, you mean figuratively? No, check his pants.
You can't disprove this.
He would not be allowed to fly more than 3 ounces. That's all I'm saying. With a wet pant like that.
I just think I just like how John Kerry stuck to his no boots on the ground.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, that's great. So what are we sending the troops in wearing high heels? Is that what we're doing now? Is that the answer?
They're gonna have Reeboks. Anything to say about it, Ms. Real Liberal?
Are the red hands back there? Are those
So
that
the red
indicating?
hands, that is Medea Benjamin.
Yes.
The red hands back there, that is Medea Benjamin. And the Code Pink, I love them. I love them. They're against war. And so they stand behind him when what he's doing there. This is a guy who got famous by opposing an illegal war where a lot of innocent people died, the Vietnam War. John Kerry. How do you ask a man to be the last one to die for an illegal war for a mistake? That was his claim to fame.
But apparently he figured out how to ask.
Now he figured it out.
Yeah.
Yes.
He figured out how to ask, and he asks a lot of people.
He's asking a lot of people to be the last guy to die.
Yeah.
For a mistake.
Yeah.
In fact, he wants the mistake to continue forever. He doesn't want it to stop being a mistake and people to ever stop dying for the mistake.
And
look at him with the red hands. So that's what the red hands is, blood on his hands, because he's there advocating for more war.
And,
Go
and
ahead.
remember in Iraq and Afghanistan, when some of those troops, when their tours were up or as they were approaching them, they just extended them automatically.
Yes.
So that's not asking, that's telling.
That's telling someone to go
That's
be the last
forcing
guy
somebody.
to die.
Yeah.
And actually, in California, didn't we also ask those veterans who had returned to service to pay back their bonus?
Pay
signing
back their bonuses.
right?
Yeah.
So then, she's exactly right. We give them signing bonuses to go fight more for our corporate war, and then we claw it back from them when they get home. That's what they did. They clawed back the bonuses that they gave them. Soldiers have to take out loans so they can pay back their bonus. It's gross. Anyway,
when we have the Code Pink women that they go and volunteer to be these activists at these hearings, that they're really doing something for our children. They're really doing.
Yes.
They're really saying that we have to be here right now and stand up against these these wars that are they're criminal. All the wars that we're in, and I the only one who was uncomfortable when he kind of laughed right now about
I noticed that too. Yeah, I noticed that too when he was kind of saying like, oh, they'd give us a lot of cash for this. Let me tell you.
Oh, really? Let me play that again.
Yeah, it's troubling.
It's very subtle.
He never sounded better.
If you play it backwards, you could see the CIA overthrowing Mogadishu in Iran in 1954.
The amazing thing is actually when you play it backwards, it sounds the exact same shit that he's saying when you play it forward.
We don't know what action we're engaged in right now, but they've been quite significant. I mean, very significant. In fact, some of them have said that if the United States is prepared to go do the whole thing the way we've done it previously in other places, they'll carry that cost. That's how dedicated they are to this.
He did laugh.
Give us some money.
In fact, these motherfuckers are going to pay for the whole thing. They want to take over the Middle East themselves.
The Corleones couldn't get a deal like this.
So please stop watching CNN and MSNBC and do not read the Washington Post or when you do, if you do, have a skeptical eye because they're not telling you the truth about what's going on. They're leaving out big chunks of it, like this. That, this is Saudi Arabia and Qatar have offered to fund our overthrow of Syria. I bet it's because they care about gassed kids. You know how about the Saudi Arabians care about kids? You know how they care about human rights? The Saudis. They're the ones who are dropping fucking cluster bombs in Yemen. They're going to fund this for us because they care about kids. And if you believe any of this shit that you hear on the news about this, you're a dupe and you're gullible. And I know there's a lot of people on the left who buy this, and they're duped and they're gullible, and it just goes to show you how powerful war propaganda is, especially when it's repeated everywhere. This is exactly what Chomsky talked about. You're made to think that you're the only one thinking these thoughts, but you're not. That's why we're here, to let you know, and they can defund us all they want, which they are. YouTube, Google, we've been defunded, right? They won't fund this. We will. It's okay. You guys are taking care of us, making sure you're on the Patreon, you're on the premium, whatever. You're supporting this. We're getting it out. They're not stopping this. But it scares the shit out of me, Dave. Do you feel like you did before the run up to the Iraq War? Because that's how it feels like to me.
Yes, it seems similar. It seemed like it was actually on the run up to the Iraq War. It seemed that they had a longer game plan. Like they started us earlier. You know what I'm saying? Like right after 9/11. And they had it together before even 9/11. But it just felt like it was more of an executed plan. Whereas this feels more like it's we got an opportunity. Let's go now. Like they're just rushing it and jamming it through before people have a chance to say anything. And it's just distraction after distraction, bullshit about Bannon, who cares, and Jared Kushner. It's all just a bunch of nonsense. So they're just giving us lots of crap to talk about.
Well, and I think on the heels of that, it's also like when you were saying in 2013, everybody was ready. Was it 2013 when everybody was ready to go? And was that the red line that was drawn in
Yes.
the sand? You know, that everybody was like, I was horrified that everybody was saying, yeah, let's go bomb Syria. I'm like, what? Wait,
Right.
why do we have to bomb somebody?
And then Congress voted against it, right? Remember that?
Because the people didn't want it. It's very much like the
Wait a minute.
Obamacare repeal. All of a sudden, the people got whiff of it, and they're like, fuck this, more war in the Middle East? No. And guess what? We did it anyway. We ran out of bombs in 2015 that we bombed so much.
There's no justifiable reason for us to be in any of this.
No, of course not.
It's all such a sham, and it's just if you take a little bit of time and you really think about what's happening, it's so clear.
He's a butcher, Dave. He's a butcher. He's going to butcher his own people. And weren't we butchering our own people in Ferguson? What about the people who butchered the people at Standing Rock?
Yeah.
How about the people who cracked heads in Occupy Wall Street? We do it all the time. You know, we run a torture facility in Cuba. We're fucking not the greatest people in the world.
Yeah, I mean, if we care about poisoning children, why is the governor of Michigan still walking around free?
Right. Why don't we bomb Flint? If we really care about kids, why don't we bomb Flint? Because we don't really give a shit about kids, but we do we do care about manufacturing more bombs and then dropping them, so we have to make more bombs. That's exactly what this is all about. It blows my mind that people. Well, we're going to show you that Tulsi Gabbard. Look at that other stuff. Tulsi Gabbard has stood up against this and immediately smeared by the Democrats. So let's get to that. And wow, it's a scary. Honest to God. I know I like to joke about this stuff, and I will going forward, but it comes from a place of real trepidation about what's happening because I lived through this once before. Personally lived through it. And it's happening again, and the establishment media is lying to you, and they are being a lapdog to the military-industrial complex, and there is no doubt about it. Hey, our next live Jimmy Dore show is April 24th. April 24th, live in Burbank. We do 2 shows a month, live shows, so get your tickets right down there, jimmydorecomedy.com.